We've been doing a lot of outdoor projects this summer. It's time to get some shop time. Today we're going to be doing several performance enhancements to this 1 series loader, the 2 series loader, 2 series tractor. I think this is going to be quite interesting. New cylinders, new pump, all kinds of performance stuff. Let's get started. Kevin from Hydros Plus is here. He's doing all the work this morning. We've got a whole bunch of cylinder upgrades for the 220R loader. We've got boom cylinders and that's here. And then we've got boom cylinders and curl cylinders for the 120R loader. We have backhoe cylinders for backhoes, both the 260 and the 270B. This is performance upgrades, meaning these cylinders are larger diameter. They're going to lift more than the standard cylinders that come with the tractor. Not something for everybody, but it potentially is a way to upgrade your lift capacity without trading tractors, without getting a bigger machine. We're excited about this, and we're gonna give them a try. The price is pretty competitive on these. Kevin, just rough prices on a pair of cylinders.
Right now, they are $8.99 a pair, so both of them for $8.99. Yeah, the backhoe, I think they're $5.99, then $8.99, and it's $30 shipping for each.
Good news here is we can increase our lift capacity even with the pressure set at its stock setting. Again, is this something that everybody's going to want? No, maybe not. You know, there is some risk, I suppose, that you can damage the loader booms. It's sort of like performance upgrades, like a supercharger for your car or something. You might have heat issues. You might, you have to take some special care because it's not designed specifically for your tractor. But Kevin has gone to some degree of testing on these things, and he's trying not to overdo it, right?
Yeah, so far, luckily, we're not seeing any significant increase. We're not seeing any heat increase. And it's really because in hydraulic fluid, when you get heat is when you move fluid and you don't do work. That's the worst thing that you can do. So, and we're not pushing the boundaries of the size of the lines. That would be where you would start to see heat.
Yeah, so he's talking about the pump upgrade that we've done, and we've got temperature gauges on all of our systems. We've learned a lot about the heat of the unit, even on the standard tractor. I've learned that I can overheat the hydrostatic system on the standard 1025R, for example, without any upgrades. This is on the stock 1025R. When I use that pull-type box blade that really stresses it, I could overheat it easily.
Yep. That's the only time I've overheated mine is trying to pull something like a box blade too fast.
So that's interesting that I can do that without any upgrades. And I really haven't seen any difference with Johnny X as far as additional heat generated. It's been kind of fascinating,
yeah,
that it's been as good as it has. These bigger cylinders are not going to cause any heat. They may put a little more stress on your loader. They may put a little more stress on your front axle, of course. But again, we've heard no reports to date, right?
I tell people I'm constantly trying to break my own equipment just to make sure that I break mine before somebody else, and I can say, don't do this. Now, of course, if you're driving around on the front wheels all the time, eventually you're going to break your tractor, but just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah. Now, I've had an opportunity to talk to some of the Deere engineers about some of these upgrades, and it's quite fascinating to hear them off the record talking about some of these upgrades. And their biggest point is that these tractors are designed to be able to work at their specified capacities and loads forever, essentially, right? So they are very conservatively designed. Now, I'm not suggesting, and I wouldn't suggest to the Deere engineers that they do these upgrades, right? Because we don't want the tractor to be on the edge. We want it to be bulletproof, right? That's the way we would want these tractors to be for most users. So when we're doing these upgrades, we're not suggesting that the machine should have these by default. We're suggesting that for particular users, you might find it interesting, you might find it fun, and you might find it worth the risk in your scenario to try some of these upgrades. That's just kind of how we're viewing it. 13.52. .1. Hey, I like that these new cylinders have that black, what is it, black nitride or whatever. In other words, it doesn't have the chrome, just like the factory ones.
Yep, just like the factory ones.
So that's going to be a little slower than spec, but once we put this new pump on.
Yeah, you should, if you go with the max cylinders, which on the MSL we've started with the 2-inch, it should be very similar to what you've had before.
Okay, what diameters do you offer? First, what is the stock?
Oh, the stock is 1.5 for the boom cylinder.
Okay, so that's 1.5 inches, and that's ID on the cylinder.
Right, and that's where you get your actual pressure, you know, the surface area that the hydraulic's pushing it.
So 1.5 inches is the stock.
Yep, for the boom, 1.75 up front for the curl. And for the MSL loader, we're offering 2-inch boom cylinders, but we don't have curl cylinders. Not sure if that's going to come because you already have, you know, a mechanically self-leveling. You may not need it. On the NSL version, we have 2-inch for the boom and 1.75, and we also have 2-inch up front because your stock ones are 1.75.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about that just a little bit. In the non-self-leveling, you could get to a situation where you've got too strong of boom cylinders to account for your stock curl cylinders. Right. And you could get to where when you're letting things down, you can't curl that load that you just picked up. And with forks, for instance, or even a bucket, you could end up dumping off your load.
I would say especially with forks, that's really the concern.
So I would strongly encourage, I really think you ought to limit this, but Kevin really likes to leave the flexibility to the tractor operator, and I get that. But I would strongly encourage, if you have a non-self-leveling loader and you choose the increased boom cylinders, please choose the increased curl cylinders as well, so that you don't get in what could be a safety issue, right? You could end up dumping a pallet because you don't have the ability to curl it.
Right. The 1.75 seemed to be a pretty good match, but once you jump up to the 2, you can get in a situation you can actually lift something up here that you can't curl back. Now, you'll know it, but
yeah, you'll know it, but you won't be able to solve it.
And if you've already curled down, you may not be able to put it back where it was. You'll be in a...
You know, you can get a situation where you've got a pallet halfway up here, and if you come down, you're going to dump it, but you can't go up. And so get those matching cylinders. And on Kevin's website, hydrosplus.com, he is going to make recommendations that if you choose this particular boom cylinder, you should choose the matching curl cylinder for it.
And by the way, if you buy them as a set, you get an additional discount.
And if you use coupon code TWT, you get an additional discount.
That's right.
Almost free.
You won't even notice it. Your wallet will feel the same.
Hey, let's put on a backhoe cylinder. So the way this works is it's just gravity and all to drain in there. Mm-hmm. But then you can use air to pressurize it out. And essentially pump it out into your waste oil tank. IAEquip.com. Now on the 1 series, the hydraulic pump is at the rear of the tractor. On the 2R and 3E, it's right under the middle. So I've taken the drive shaft down, the 4-wheel drive shaft, and now Kevin's working to actually get the old pump out of there. Just as a reminder, the 2R and the 3E are the same chassis. So I've said it 100 times, but I'll say it again. If you're buying a 3E tractor, you're essentially getting the 2R. And actually on the loader, you're getting a little less capacity for a variety of reasons. So even though you see the term 3 series, you think you're getting more tractor, you're getting the same thing as the 2R. And the 2R has a lot more features, right? You can't get the mid-PTO on the 3E. The loader's not removable, that type of thing. So the 3E really fits slightly under the 2R in the overall progression of Deere tractors.
So now we have the new pump. So I put it in this way first, going back towards the back. Slide it into place.
I expect it to stop. So no problem with the saw. I just can't get the saw positioned where I want it. I can't get it up high enough with this self-leveling loader. The saw ran and cut.
Yeah, it cuts fine.
Now folks, we've hooked this limb saw onto the forks the way I've always done it before, but I've always used a non-self-leveling loader. And with this self-leveling loader, I can't get over, I can't tilt it back, can't curl it back. That's as high as I can get right there with it. So I would have to learn, I'm gonna have to mount it different on this fork frame somehow.
You're at an idle.
The mount for the limb saw is awful. This is not limb saw's fault. This is how we've mounted it before. It just doesn't work with the self-leveling loader. So I want you to see a limitation of the curl of the self-leveling loader. But the bigger deal here is that at an idle, we just cut that limb off with the limb saw, and I could not cut wide open throttle before with the limb saw without this new pump. So the new pump is working. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out how to mount that. Maybe if I would turn the fork frame all the way, yeah, I think we can get it mounted, but it's gonna take some different approach. The way the manual shows you mounting is to actually put it on the loader bucket, right on the top of the loader bucket, right? And even that would not get it tilted back very far. I think you'd have to put it on the back side of the loader bucket with one of these self-leveling loaders, yeah. The lack of curl on these things really begins to bother in some unusual attachments, unusual situations like this. So here we are with another ill-suited tool for the job. I've got this big 24-inch flat bucket, and I'm going to try to dig out a stump. Now you're probably asking, why in the world did we do the limb saw on a loader that it wasn't fit for or have it mounted right? And why are we trying this with a bucket that doesn't fit? Well, we just don't have much time. We've worked all day trying to get all this stuff installed on these tractors. We thought that was a little too boring for you guys to see, and so we didn't record a lot of that. And now here we are, close of the day, and we want to see it work. So the couple of things here I want to probably see, one of them is the strength of this curl cylinder here, and the other is the speed of the backhoe overall. Well, I think we're seeing the strength, even with that 20, oh my goodness, it's throwing stuff at me. Wow. Did you say this is a bigger cylinder than the one you're marketing for this?
It's a 1/4 of an inch bigger than the one I currently have.
Oh my goodness. This is unbelievable. The strength right here.
And right now you're at about the same flow as you would have at wide open throttle with a stock pump. So you're at 1,500 RPMs.
Now, of course, I don't have any teeth on this bucket here,
RPMs.
and I've still been able to take this stump out. I think I'm going to get it.
Now curl. Is that curling?
Now, what would this be like if I had some teeth on this bucket?
Yeah.
And it was about a 12-incher instead of a 24.
Yeah.
Oh, just tear up my shed. Look at that. Oh my goodness.
Push straight down, and then just curl. Just curl.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. See, that's really, if you think about it, because the tractor's not heavy enough, if you can get under and curl, you can actually break things up. Because if you start pulling, the tractor sometimes comes with you, especially on the 1 Series. This is a little heavier tractor.
Yeah, and not only do you start pulling the tractor, you don't have near the strength.
Right,
I mean, that curl's where we picked up the strength.
Yeah.
I can't even see the bucket from here. I don't even have a tractor with a grapple on it right now, Kevin.
Do what?
I don't even have a grapple right now.
Yeah.
I need to get you hooked onto the Iron Fist.
That could be arranged.
Okay, so we've got two changes here that we're dealing with. One is the increased flow from the pump. The new pump is not going to increase the capacity. It's not going to make the unit stronger in any way. It's just going to make it faster, right? That's what the new pump does, and that's noticeable. We're running here at almost an idle. This tractor was pretty slow on the backhoe. I would have to run it at near full throttle to feel like I had the kind of speed I wanted. The other thing is this new, I'm going to call it the curl cylinder. It's got a different name. It's not the dipper stick. Maybe it is the dipper. I don't know. I forget what the name is on a backhoe. But anyway, we've got that new cylinder, and that's going to give us new strength because it's a bigger diameter, so that when the hydraulic pressure pushes against it, it's got a bigger area to push against. So that larger diameter is going to allow me to curl like this much, much stronger. Now, if we do that cylinder alone without the pump, that's going to make it slower to curl. Okay? You're still going to have that much power, but so by adding the pump, when we add the bigger cylinder, then I still see it fast, and I also get that extra power. Now, someone's going to ask, what am I going to tear up if I have this stronger cylinder? Well, first of all, we have a bigger diameter rod. So the rod is the thing that I've broken before or bent before on my 260 backhoe, and several folks have done that on the 270. But now that we've got the bigger rod, the extra diameter of the cylinder, what's that going to break? I honestly don't know. It looks pretty strong to me up in here, down. It looks like it's plenty strong to be able to handle it. But in theory, it's, you know, by putting more pressure on it, something could be bent or broken. So we'll have to, well, we'll keep experimenting with it over time. But wow, this is transformative. I think Kevin said $5.99. That would be before TTWT discount at hydrosplus.com. I'm pretty impressed.
We've been wanting to do this project for a while. I had no idea it would be this easy.
I had no idea it would be today.
No, me neither. It really hasn't taken very long.
No, now we just need to get, I need to do my Tom Sawyer thing and get Kevin to use the Iron Fist grapple and get this all cleaned up.
I think he's willing.
I think he's already almost there. He's put the grapple on by himself.
I think the cats are upset though. This was their hiding place.
Yeah, Bo's looking around wondering what he's supposed to do.
Oh, what is that?
That's a big stump there. I dug it out, but it's still laying there.
Doesn't have the...
I don't think it has a lot of push, does it?
Well, I was trying to curl. There we go. Okay.
No, it doesn't have the curl. Corresponding, it doesn't have the curl of the 1 Series.
Yeah.
So I guess you have to use the boom lift now that we've got the bigger cylinders, right?
Yeah.
I think we've still missed the stump there.
Did we miss it?
Yeah. There you got it.
We did it? Almost.
Folks, we've really just shown tip of the iceberg today on a bunch of the performance parts that Kevin has at hydrosplus.com with these new cylinders and of course the new pumps. The new pumps is kind of what you started with, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, that's kind of the logical next step is if you can get enough flow for your existing cylinders and then go beyond that, then cylinders start to make sense. You can buy these cylinders without the pump, but you're going to sacrifice a lot of performance. You basically, if you could do 2 functions at once wide open, you've really taken that away too.
So the first place that I would look is if you've had a backhoe cylinder bent, like I did on the 260B or 270B. Kevin's is a great replacement. It's a little bit less than the Deere version as far as cost, but it's bigger diameter ram, so you're not going to bend it. okay? And it's bigger diameter, the cylinder itself, I don't know what that's called.
Yeah.
The bore of the
is what I
cylinder.
would call it, yeah.
And so that gives you all that much additional power, and it's very noticeable. I mean, I only used it a little bit here so far today, but I had that flat bucket on. I didn't even have any teeth, and we were digging.
That's the big, test, is because you're basically hitting straight into the ground, and it just
the worst possible thing to try to dig out roots with, right?
Right.
And we did prove that it would run the limb saw, the one the 2R here, so we know we've got that under control. For now, I'm going to leave my 3R tractor alone, okay, and kind of get used to it some more. I've had a 2R now for years, so I kind of know the capabilities, and our viewers kind of know the capabilities from seeing a lot of our videos over the years. So I think we'll leave the 3R alone, but you have a pump solution for the 3R, right?
Yeah, I don't have it on the website yet, but it's coming very soon.
Uh-oh, I just pre-announced it. You can order it. He'll figure out how to get it to you.
Yep.
It may be a while.
Yeah.
How are your supply issues?
Mine are pretty good. A good problem to have is the cylinders are going really fast. But I think I've gotten my supply chain up to snuff on keeping pumps, and that's probably, well, it has been the most exciting product, but since the cylinders have come out, I have a lot of people excited about those.
Yeah, now we had another product we didn't get to today we were going to show, and it's essentially a scale for the 120R loader. And it's not really a scale, but it's equivalent to such. It's a pressure gauge that you mount in line with the 120R. I'll get it installed at some point. If you want to calibrate it yourself, you can put a set amount of weight in the loader and you can see what pressure it goes to. And I think there may be some improvements on that ongoing. And I just want to say, a couple things about what I've experienced since I've known Kevin. I don't know, we've known each other a year and a half now. And when I first met Kevin, he didn't even have a company. No website, no anything. This has been the fastest growing partner that we have experienced. Not only in your sales, as you've kind of explained, the sales are just going crazy, but in the number of products. I mean, you're introducing products just incredibly fast, and when I see them, they're well baked, they're ready to go. And the other aspect is that Kevin takes care of his customers better than most. Let's put it that way. He goes above and beyond on not only just returns, but on product upgrades. We talked about this scale. He says that there will be a credit back if he enhances the product. You can return this one for a credit towards the upgrade, right?
Yep, we'll do something. One of the ideas is take that and convert it to a kind of a standard pressure gauge, and then upgrade. It depends on exactly what the final form factor of the scale, but essentially, like you said, you can measure the pressure, do a little bit of math, and you'll know what you have in your bucket after it's calibrated. The new version is going to be electronic. You'll calibrate it once, and it'll just tell you every time you pick up, what it actually weighs versus having to do any math.
Okay, I mean, that's just fascinating, and that's just one of many. Like I say, we've just scratched the surface here, and thanks for coming all the way to Indiana to see us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We got to play tractors a little bit, got to work in the shop a good bit. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim. The apostles said to the Lord, "Increase our faith." You kind of take the responsibility. Doggone it.
Should have shut it off, shouldn't we have?
He found the air leak, Christy. It's going to be easy to fix. That's the good news.
The hose.
It's in a hose connection.